Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this Second International webinar on the rise of women mediators, challenges and opportunities. I am Ritika Agrawal, advocate and research associate at Second, and I'll be your host and moderator for this evening. On behalf of Second, I extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished speakers and to the advocates, mediators, professionals, and students joining us from different parts of the world. The conversation around women in mediation can no longer be limited to representation alone. It also asks us to look at access, opportunity, leadership, institutional support, cultural realities, and the changing nature of dispute resolution itself. Mediation is fundamentally about dialogue and about creating space for people to be heard. And this evening, we ask a larger question. What does the future of women in mediation look like, and what can we collectively do make that future more inclusive, sustainable, and meaningful? We are privileged to have four accomplished speakers with us today, and I will introduce each of them as we proceed. Before we open the panel discussion, I am delighted to begin with our first speaker. We are honored to have with us Ms. Girija Varma, member of Second Advisory Board, Fellow of Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, internationally certified mediator and arbitrator, and distinguished ADR expert with extensive expertise in cross-border disputes, commercial disputes, and intellectual property law, joining us from India. Ma'am has kindly made us time for today despite prior professional commitments, and she will be with us for the opening segment of this webinar. Ma'am, a very warm welcome and thank you for being here. Ma'am, since your time with us is limited this evening, I would like to come directly to two questions that sit at the heart of today's theme. My first question to you is, what inspired you? Yes, ma'am.
Your voice is breaking, Ritika.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. So, ma'am, my first question to you is, what inspired you? Girija, ma'am, am I audible to you?
Your voice is breaking. What inspired you to?
What inspired you to take up mediation? And looking at your journey, how has the space for women in mediation and ADR evolved over the years?
So, my worked in. I've been basically a mediator in the last 10 years, 12 years. And before that, I was doing hardcore. So, I have a wide range of disputes that I looked at in commercial, intellectual property, construction, software technology. And over the years, I realized that we could be fighting in courts in an adversarial manner for a long time, resolved more than 300 disputes. I realized that there is much wider scope for dispute resolution if we can adopt mediation. And being a mediator is very fulfilling, satisfying when you can find a good when the parties can come up with a solution and an outcome which is enforceable.
Thank you, ma'am.
I can't hear you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, my next question to you is, there's a perception that women bring particular strengths to mediation, such as listening, empathy, and relationship building. In your experience, are these gender equalities or professional competencies that any effective mediator must develop, and how should institutions nurture them?
So yes, definitely women also all people bring a perspective which is different and diverse. Women bring in a diverse perspective into the mediation world. They do bring in empathy. They do bring in more relationship building skills. And they also are more patient in the process, more willing to bring mediation as a dispute resolution forum. So I think they have a very important role, but it doesn't mean that they are higher or lesser than men, or they also bring in perspectives which are diverse and different and important as well. Now, how can institutions help women to grow as mediators? I think it's important that women get a forum where they can be um, given equal opportunity for appointments. It's not only that they are trained, but also after training, their appointments as a mediator. They can be appointed as co-mediator in complex matters or individual matters as well. That is important. Now, this is, a profession where you have to build your own practice as a mediator, and it is your skill which is, available to people and should be known to people to appoint you. So it's important that we bring women some visibility. Besides giving opportunity, there should be visibility for their work so that they get more appointments, they get opportunity to network better and get involved in the, process of handling complex matters is what I would think is good for women mediators to grow.
Thank you for adding this point, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I have a next question to you.
Yes.
Why is pre-litigation mediation is still not the first choice in India? Like, what the awareness, mindset, and trust?
So basically, I think it is a mindset issue. For years, people have been in litigation which they fought for extended period of time. So their mindset is according to that, which is adversarial. How to make their point of view stronger, how to fight and be more stronger in court. How can I be right rather than what is the right thing to do? So I think it's a mindset issue. It's also a lack of awareness. And as the mediation world will grow and people will see that there are different opportunities of dispute resolution, which are quicker, which are faster, which are cost effective, which the parties determine their outcomes and have the control over their disputes. I think people will start looking at mediation as a way of dispute resolution as a first option rather than a last option. I think that would happen as the mindset changes and as we grow further in this world of mediation.
So thank you very much, ma'am. Your insights have given us a perfect foundation for the rest of this evening discussion. We are grateful for your time and we completely understand that your other commitments on behalf of Trek Second and all our participants. Thank you, and we hope that we have the privilege to hosting you again very soon.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much. And you can share my email ID or my numbers with people who might have any questions. I'm sorry I cannot, I'm unable to answer them today because I have another engagement. But you are free to ask me anything over email or LinkedIn.
Okay, ma'am. We will surely do this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now we move to a panel discussion, and I'm delighted to introduce three panelists for the evening. We welcome Ms. Laura Kyureghyan, international mediator and area specialist with expertise in cross-border dispute resolution and international institutional collaboration. Ms. Laura, your perspective will be invaluable in helping us understand how women mediators navigate professional and cultural environments across jurisdictions. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you for welcoming me. From a European perspective, I would say that gender-based mediation is no longer visible or explicit, and that is precisely what makes it more difficult to address. We may not hear someone say she's a woman, therefore she cannot be a strong mediator. Instead, a bias can appear in much more subtler forms: who is perceived as authoritative, who is invited to the table, who receives the high value appointments, or how the same behavior is interpreted depending on whether it comes from man or woman. A woman who is assertive may be described as difficult. A man displaying exactly the same behavior may be described as decisive. A woman who demonstrates empathy may be perceived as less authoritative, although empathy and emotional intelligence are actually core mediation competencies. So how do we navigate this? My view is that women should not feel pressured to imitate traditionally male model of authority. Credibility in mediation should come from competence, preparation, neutrality, and consistency, not from performing a particular agenda. For me, the most effective response to bias is not to become less feminine, less empathetic, or less authentic. It is to become exactly good at what we do. And there is another important point. Women mediators should not have to carry the entire burden of navigating the bias individually. Institutions also have a responsibility. Selection criteria should be transparent, mediators' rosters should be diverse, and opportunities should not depend exclusively on informal networks. So my message to women entering mediation would be, do not spend your career trying to prove that you belong in the room. Instead, build the expertise that makes your presence in the room undeniable, and then help open that door to the women coming after you. Because the goal is not simply to have women accepted into mediation, but the main goal is to make women's leadership in mediation completely unremarkable. So, build the expertise that makes your presence in the room undeniable.
Thank you for bringing this point, ma'am. Before I begin with the question, I would like to introduce other two panelists. We are equally honored to have Ms. Lydia Njeri Kaboyo, certified professional mediator with the High Court of Kenya, and a peace building practitioner with over a decade of experience in conflict management. Ms. Lydia, thank you for bringing the African perspective to this conversation. Welcome to the webinar. And we warmly welcome Ms. Pushpa Gupta, IMI certified mediator and senior mediator empaneled with the Supreme Court of India. I think ma'am is currently facing some technical difficulties and will be joining us shortly. So we'll look forward to having her with us. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective, ma'am. I would like to broaden the conversation and bring in international perspectives because the experiences of women mediators can look quite different depending on the legal system, professional environment, and the communities they work with. So, Ms. Laura, I would like to begin with you. So, my first question to you is, from a European perspective, how prevalent a gender stereotype? How can women mediators navigate these challenges while maintaining professional credibility?
As I have told, firstly, so
Yes.
I think that we can coming to conclusion by the main sentence, which I have already let you know. So is that women mediators should build the expertise that makes their presence in a room undeniable. That will give women mediators very great opportunity to become leaders, to become great mediators, and to behave and to have behavior independently, become the valuable, get valuable appointments, and assure that their presence in a room is due to their high value appointments, not just for the reason they are women or they are men.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Laura. I think your point about professional credibility is particularly important because perception of a mediator can sometimes be shaped not only by their skills and experience, but also by expectations about gender and professional authority. So, Ms. Lydia, I would be particularly interested in Kenyan perspective on this.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Njeri. If you say in African, it's Njeri. And coming from a Kenyan perspective, growing up in an African community in Kenya, mediation wasn't something that is abstract. It is something that was lived, like in our day-to-day life. Because I remember my grandmother was usually called upon whenever families quarreled over land boundaries, families, and everything. And she did not carry the title, but her wisdom and fairness made her the trusted voice in the community, among her neighbors and everything, which is a very, very common thing. If you go to different villages in Kenya, you will have that woman who is very, very well trusted in matters that pertaining to conflict resolution. So after the introduction of the court-annexed mediation and also private mediation, the natural trust and then natural wisdom that women possess have been supported by the mediation trainings that are taking place in the society. And now this has led to empowerment of women, and now they are being recognized as naturally as good mediators as compared to men. Because remember, women are naturally compassionate in nature, they are empathetic in nature. So, and then we have the policy frameworks. Currently in Kenya, they have adopted the international frameworks like the UNSCR 1325 and the National Action Plan in the country on women, peace, and also security. And the frameworks have opened doors that you can only imagine of for women mediators to be formally recognized as peacekeepers, as peacemakers in the society. So the policies that have been adopted by the country, by different counties in the country, they are creating different opportunities for grassroots mediators, let me call them grassroots mediators, so that they can connect with the national peace building structures. And this is a concept that is gaining ground in the country at the moment. And then we have the community networks in the country. As I come from a community that is called the Kikuyu community, and naturally from the Kikuyu community, issues like maybe land inheritance were naturally known to be dominated by men. But the perspective is currently changing. Why? Because of women mediators, because we are coming like a very strong force, because now we are empowered, and following the natural wisdom of women, it is becoming like a double-edged sword, so that women groups, faith-based organization, and also local dialogue circles are providing different platforms for women to collaborate and also to amplify their voices and also build solidarity. So the networks strengthen their influence in as far as community mediation is concerned. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Njeri, for bringing this. Ma'am, I have a next question to you. Like, from the Kenyan perspective, what opportunities and challenges exist for women mediators, particularly in community and grassroots mediation?
Thank you very much. The one challenge that we have experienced in Kenya for women is the patriarchal norms, as I had stated earlier. Coming from an African, this is a patriarchal society in nature. And so you can only imagine that some aspects like mediation, conflict resolution related to land, related to inheritance, related to families, they were naturally known to be dominated by men. But these cultural practices have proven to be bottlenecks as far as mediation for women is concerned because of the male dominance. So you can see in a situation where women are women's authority is undermined by the fact that they are women. And I like what the previous speaker has talking about, like ensure that your presence in that room is felt. And this is the only way that women mediators can break the barriers, they can break the bottlenecks that are infringed, are put on us by the society just because we are women. So women mediators may be dismissed as outsiders or maybe too emotional. And that limits the acceptance in formal negotiations. The other challenge that women mediators are facing from Kenyan perspective is the resource constraints. And what do I mean by resource constraints? Grassroots women mediators often lack the access to training, they lack access to funding and also logistical support. Remember, these are people from the villages who the only thing they rely on is their wisdom, is the trust that people bestow on them. So empowerment is very, very constrained. And so without the resources that are there, or rather without the access to resources, their ability to sustain mediation initiatives or skill or any mediation that is required for them usually bring their participation down, and it causes a very, very major constraint. The other challenge that is experienced is the security risks. For instance, while mediating volatile disputes, remember we are in a society that is always in conflict. And such conflicts such as land conflicts, political tensions, and such risks, security risks, can make, or rather can expose women mediators to threats and intimidation. And because of that, they often they keep off because of, remember, we are not masculine as men, but so the security risks are quite big. So the limited protection mechanism can make women mediators not to weigh their security more important than any risk that is associated to them to mediation, as far as maybe community mediation level is concerned. Yeah, so those are the challenges. And then on the opportunities, I had talked about the cultural legitimacy. In many Kenyan communities, especially in African Kenyan, women elders are trusted to mediate. So that's a very good opportunity. Why? Because remember, women are naturally empathetic. They feel another person's problem. So they are trusted to mediate family matters, land dispute, divorce cases, children custody. This moral authority and relational approach give women the legitimacy, even without any formal titles. And the cultural trust bestowed to women is a very, very powerful entry point for women mediators. We also have the community networks. And by community networks, I mean the grassroots women groups or the local mediation circles that provide women with different platforms for women to collaborate with other women, to collaborate with other people in the society. And they use this opportunity to amplify their voices as far as mediation is concerned, and also build solidarity. These different networks also, they strengthen the influence that women have in the society, and it gives them a very good opportunity to provide mediation. So as far as we have different challenges that women experience, we also are experiencing very good opportunities here in Kenya for women mediators.
Thank you, Ms. Njeri. That brings an important dimension to this discussion. We often speak about women mediators in terms of professional careers, but your perspective highlights the role they can play much more directly within communities and in resolving disputes at the grassroots level. Ms. Laura, taking the broader question of participation forward, I would like to come back to the European experience.
I think one of the most interesting things about the European mediation landscape is that mediation is, by its nature, broader than the legal profession. Law, of course, remains extremely important, particularly in commercial and legal disputes. But mediation is not only about knowing the law. It is about understanding people, communication, negotiation, psychology, conflict dynamics, culture, and power. And that creates an important opportunity for women, including women coming from non-legal backgrounds. My own professional path has reinforced this for me. I came to mediation from interdisciplinary background rather than from a particular route of becoming a lawyer first. So, and I see that not as a weakness, but instead as a different professional strong asset. A good mediator needs to understand not only what the legal position is, but why the conflict exists, what the parties actually need, what they are afraid of losing, and what would allow them to move forward to solve the conflict, of course. Europe's relatively developed ADR ecosystem creates multiple entry points. For example, mediation trainings, court-connected mediation, commercial mediation, workplace and community mediation, cross-border dispute resolution mediations, researches, teachings, etc. But I think there is an important lesson here for other jurisdictions. If we make mediation accessible only through one professional pipeline, we risk building a profession that looks very similar to the profession it was designed to complement and already exists. So I think the future of mediation may require, of course, lawyers, but it also benefits from other psychologists, negotiators, academics, managers, diplomats, social scientists, and professionals with strong intercultural and communication skills, which are very important during the mediation. And another important skill is that a good mediator must have the ability to listen, which is very important. Listen and understand the parties, what they actually need, what they actually want. So I would not frame a diversity of professional background and gender as lowering standards. I would frame it differently. The question should not just be, does this person come from the traditional pathway or has this type of gender which is acceptable or not? The question should be, does the person, independently his or her gender, have the competencies, ethics, and credibility required to mediate effectively? That is a much more powerful way of building a modern mediation profession, one where excellence is the entry ticket rather than a particular professional identity or having some type of accessible gender. Mediation is not only about knowing the law, it is about understanding why the conflict exists. So I would come to conclusion with this idea that excellence during a mediation and being a good mediator, the excellence should be the entry ticket rather than a particular professional identity or gender.
Thank you, Ms. Laura. My next question to you is, how does the European mediation landscape create career opportunities for women, including women from non-legal backgrounds? And what lessons could other jurisdictions learn from this experience?
So I think that women coming from non-legal backgrounds
Yes.
must have the ability to listen, must have the ability to communicate effectively, and just having the career of lawyer or knowing the law, it's just not enough to mediate effectively. Because in mediation, we need to listen, we need to understand both parties, not just knowing the law. Instead, knowing the law in some cases may interfere during their disputes, and of course, I would not say that it will make the situation worse, but the most important skill during mediation is not about just knowing the law, but the most important thing is that to understand both parties and come to win-win conclusion, which is sometimes difficult to have during just during just by bringing the law into the table. Yes. And I think that first of all, good mediator, independent of his or her gender, should have the ability of listening, should have the ability of understanding the both sides, and should have the ability to be honest, to understand the core root of the conflict, and not to pass from one side to another side. And the good mediator should not also have the legal background, but the background of psychology, of social scientists, etc. Because mediation itself, it's not just a profession of legal disputes. It's just a profession of understanding people. Because in some cases, when we have disputes in families, we don't need to be just lawyers. Yes, first of all, we need to be psychologists to understand the core nature of the conflict, because family is connected based not only on the legal perspective, but it is mostly based on the psychology, on the people connection towards each other. And here is the reason why the good mediator should first have the skills that are being a good listener, being a good psychologist. Why not understand social psychology, understand human basic needs? Why not? And after that, we'll come to the question. Why is it necessary, or it is not necessary to have legal background? Because for me, I can bring my own example. First, I haven't got my first educational background is not based on legal science, and I would say, and I would assure that this helps me much to understand people, because I must be repeated again. Mostly in family disputes, we are not going to deal only with jurisdictions that are based on legal spheres. First of all, we should understand people's psychology. And of course, I think that in future, we will meet many professionals from different or interdisciplinary backgrounds that will not have just a profession, just the traditional legal background. Because if we will base just on legal background, we can't understand the human psychology. And I would say that in mediation, for me, it's just my opinion, in mediation there is no not the demand, but it is not necessary to be or to have legal profession, because if we just bring the legal profession as a demand for mediator career, we will come across to the same profession that already exists, lawyers, advocacies, etc. So I think that we will let future mediation will let other people, good professionals in their spheres, to become mediators and make the mediation process or the main profession of mediator be more accepted and be different from the traditional legal profession.
Thank you, Ms. Laura. The point about opportunities for women from non-legal backgrounds is particularly interesting. So it also raises the question of what mediation can contribute beyond the profession itself. Ms. Njeri, you spoke earlier about women mediators working within communities. Could you take that one step further with us?
Oh, yes, sure. In Kenya, we have the grassroots trainings that are taking place, and they are training women mediators on how to formalize mediation as a career. Why? Remember, we are talking from an African perspective, where any woman who is rising, they usually get a lot of scrutiny, and especially from the men in the society. Why? Because this is a patriarchal society. So we have these groups that are training women, and it's starting from the court of Kenya, and they're training women, community women, on how to now formalize, how to understand mediation better from now a legal perspective. Because remember, these are people or women who do not have a legal background. They do not have maybe anything to do with legal, but they know how they know the process from an informal point of view. So the trainings are sponsored by the courts and also by private sponsors, so that more conflicts can be resolved from the grassroots level. Remember, we have conflicts from the families, from the smallest unit in the society, and before the escalation of the conflict, and maybe going to the chief, going to the courts, going to the area headman, the conflicts are being addressed at the household level. We have the initiative that is called the Nyumba Kumi initiative. By Nyumba Kumi, we mean the 10 houses, like a group of 10 houses, they have a leader. 10 houses in a village, they have a leader. 10 houses, they have a leader. And the essence is to ensure that conflict is addressed before it escalates. And the importance of addressing the conflict before escalation is to ensure that the courts are naturally, the courts are usually overcrowded with cases. So it's a mitigation practice to ensure that any conflict that can be resolved from the initial stages, it is addressed. And remember, for mediation, it's a way of restoring previous relationships. So to maintain the community level, the community unity in African culture, to maintain the family relations, to ensure that there's that good neighborhood. So that's the trainings are taking place, and I can say that they have gained a lot of followers, and the results are quite positive, because there was a research that was conducted, and there were reduced number of cases that were being reported to the local chiefs areas. Why? Because the issues were being addressed from the start. Also, I can say that the trainings are gaining a lot of positive response from the community members, and especially women. Why? Because women are the number one people who are affected by any conflict. If a child is conflicted, a woman has issues. If a man, maybe the husband is conflicted, the issue lies with the women. So the concept is being embraced, and I can say, like, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, the things will not be the same. There will be a very, very big change as far as mediation and ADR and conflict resolution is addressed, because the solution is starting from the root. And if you address the root causes, definitely everything will change from as far as ADR and mediation and is concerned.
Thank you, Ms. Njeri. I think that connects very well with the larger purpose of mediation. It is not only about resolving a particular dispute, it can also be about making the process of justice more accessible to people who may otherwise remain outside formal justice systems. So, my next question to Ms. Laura is, are there particular institutional or professional practices in Europe that have developed increase the representation and leadership of women in mediation and ADR?
Yeah, I think Europe offers several useful examples, although I would be very careful to suggest that Europe has solved the problem. It has not. One important development has been the shift from simply encouraging women to participate in asking institutions to examine how opportunities are actually allocated. For example, initiatives in the European and international dispute resolution community have increasingly focused on transparent appointment processes, certain mediator and arbitrator rosters, mentoring and sponsorship, women's professional networks, and greater visibility for women as speakers, trainers, and leaders. The CEDR Foundation's work on diversity in mediation can be and is a good example of this shift. Its research identifies barriers not only at the point of the training, but also in accreditation, selection, and appointments. And why not? It's diversity and inclusion in mediation charter that promotes more transparent and inclusive selection practices. We also see this broader principle in international dispute resolution through initiatives such as the Equal Representation in Arbitration Pledge, which focuses on equal opportunities and fair representation in appointments. But for me, one of the most important practices in mentorship combined with sponsorship. Mentorship tells the person how to navigate the profession, but the sponsorship, of course, it's different. Someone with influence actually recommends you, puts your name forward, gives you access to opportunities, and that is critical because talent alone does not create a career. Access does. If we want more women in leadership, we therefore need to look beyond the number. We should look the number of women entering mediation. We need to ask who gets appointed, who gets invited, who gets promoted, who sits on the committees, who becomes a trainer, provider, a board member, lead mediator, etc. And I think that is the lesson other jurisdictions can take from Europe. Yes, don't measure diversity only at the entrance. Measure it all on the way to the top, because representation without progression is not just equality. It is simply a wider entrance door, and a person who is entering mediation, not only in mediation, but a person who wants to create a good career and be accepted should understand that the progression is a core key for becoming a good professional in his or her field.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Laura. This distinction between participation and leadership is very important. Also, I would like to take that discussion into the future of mediation. So, Ms. Njeri, would you like to add on something on this? Ms. Njeri?
Sorry.
Yes.
What's the question?
Ma'am, I would like to take the discussion into the future of mediation. So, would you like to add on something on what Miss Laura has been?
Yeah, sure. And I can say that the future of mediation is very bright because mediation is taking control very, very rapidly. And especially with the introduction of the court annexed mediation, family and succession dispute resolution, and then the adoption of different national ADR policy reforms. We also have mediators who are positioning themselves at the cornerstone to the access of justice. Mediation is becoming the next big thing. Like in the next decade, I am foreseeing a situation where we'll have a stronger institutional frameworks, wider community uptakes, and also the integration of technology. We are in the era of AI. As far as AI cannot understand emotions, AI cannot read the room. AI is becoming the in thing as far as mediation is concerned. The future of mediation, first of all, you have the court annexed mediation. The civil procedures rules, maybe the 2022, they mandate screening of cases, a 60-day mediation period, and also a settlement that is enforceable. This is something that was not there before. And at the moment, we are not where it should be. So the system is expected to expand further, and this will lead to a situation where the court cases or the court has an easy time as far as dealing with the workload and delivering faster justice. We also have the introduction of the national ADR policy. For instance, in Kenya, we have the ADR policy, which emphasizes the strengthening of institutional frameworks. We also have the control, or rather a standardized system of training, mediation training. Like we have now a syllabus, or rather, on what training should happen, how it should happen, the length of the training, what should be trained, and so on and so forth. And this has led to a situation where the capacity of the mediators in Kenya is increasing as days goes by. And I can say the aim of this is to embed mediation into the justice system, and also making it more accessible and credible, and above all, more affordable. Remember, access to justice is a right for everyone. And if it becomes too costly or too expensive, the rights of people will be infringed. So the mediation came so that access to justice can be easier and affordable, and especially to that person in the society who is not so well off. And then as far as our training and accreditation is concerned, we have like here in Kenya, and I understand every country has their accreditation bodies where they are setting the global standards, or rather they are incorporating the global standards of mediation and accreditation and training into the local systems. And this means that sooner or later, mediation across the world will have the same standards, or rather almost the same standards, because of the local integration of the international, or rather on the uniform umbrella accreditation standards. This professionalism will also ensure that the quality of mediators who are produced by the training institutions goes up. Why? Because once you become accredited with the international standards, of course your standards goes up. And what is the ripple effect on this? The ripple effect is that the public will now trust mediators more than before, because they have been proven, and for sure they are living up to the required levels of the society. Also, there are another opportunities, the online dispute resolution, the ODR. We are living in a digital society. We are living in a digital era. We are living in the era of artificial intelligence, and these opportunities have enabled us to cross the borders. Like, for instance, I'm having a meeting with you. You are in India. There's someone in Europe. There's someone in America, and at the same time. So they are creating a very good opportunity, and technology can never go unmentioned as far as the future of mediation is concerned, because it has led to also cross-border mediation. With the globalization effect that is currently taking place, cross-border mediation is something that is happening at the moment, and this will lead to a need for each and every country to align themselves with the international frameworks that govern mediation across the border. Like, for instance, we have although it is not yet signed, we have the Singapore Convention. So this cross-border mediation has led to internationalization of mediation, and so the standards of mediation will be the same all over. We also have the future of community integration. And what do I mean by community integration? Like grassroots mediators, like a woman in a Kenyan village, they will continue to bridge gaps that normally or traditionally are believed to be existing between the formal courts and the local realities. So they become that bridge. This is something that was not experienced previously, and at the moment we are not where we are supposed to be, but in the future we will have that achievement that is being foreseen at the moment. We also have another opportunity, or the future is the economic impact. Mediation has proven to be able to resolve conflict in a faster way, in a less expensive way. Faster conflict resolutions have been noted to return billions of money to the economy, and by doing this, they unlock stalled contracts, and now the countries can develop because less money is being used in conflict resolution. So as far as the future of mediation is concerned, that's all I can say. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Njeri. I think that gives a very interesting perspective on how the future of mediation may be shaped not only by who becomes a mediator, but also by who is able to access mediation itself. So we have now heard perspective from Europe and Kenya on professional bias, career opportunities, grassroots mediation, access to justice, institutional practices, and technology. We have heard about professional credibility in Europe, grassroots mediation and access to justice in Kenya, and the opportunities and challenges within the Indian context. I think what has emerged from the discussion is that there's no single experience of being a woman mediator. The challenges may take different forms across jurisdiction, whether they relate to professional credibility, access to opportunities, institutional structures, community engagement, or access to technology. At the same time, there are also common themes: the need for greater opportunity, stronger institutional support, meaningful leadership pathways, and a mediation ecosystem that is accessible and inclusive. We now have around 3 to 5 minutes for question from the audience. So before we move to audience question, a quick round. I request both of you to answer in just a line or a two. So my first question is, one skill every young woman mediator should develop. Ms. Laura?
Can you repeat the question?
One skill every young woman mediator should develop.
I think it depends on the background of a young woman mediator. But as I have talked about the diverse and equality, there is no difference between young woman or young man. Woman must make, especially young woman. And I don't like to separate the mediator profession into woman and into man, because I'm more concerned on I am more concerned on talking about the mediation as a profession, and not to bring into the personal, bring into the gender or personality. So for me, the most important thing for the young professional is that it is necessary to make his or her presence in the room undeniable and unremarkable. For this, we should educate. We should be educated. We should understand what we are going to do, at what we are at what we are good, and try to do our education progressively and never stop just on the point. Because as in other professions, in mediations as well, we should go forward due to tendencies, due to the demands of the time. For example, now we are entering into the area of artificial intelligence, and most of the mediators should understand that the traditional mediation process from now and on must be designed at least for the standards of AI, because as other professions, mediation as well can't escape from the area of artificial intelligence. So I will come up to the conclusion that for a young professional, especially mediator, a person should educate himself or herself continuously without having any stop. Should understand the tendencies of the time, the tendencies of and the demands of the time, because that is accessible now maybe cannot be accessible for future. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Miss Laura. Miss Njeri, according to you, what one skill every woman mediator should develop? What's your point on it?
Thank you very much. First of all, I can advocate for silence. In any mediation, silence is a very, very important tool. Why? Because as a mediator, if you keep quiet, the parties it's like you're prompting them to talk more. And in the process of talking more, you can understand where the problem is really, really coming from. So I can advise, like any young mediator, whether a man or a woman, to practice the act of silence, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. The other point I can say is emotional intelligence. Remember, mediation often involves a lot of emotions, and especially family mediation, children, custody, land inheritance, and everything. So if you don't have a good level of emotional intelligence as a mediator, you can drift to one of the sides. And remember, as a mediator, you should be very, very neutral and very, very neutral. So you must know how to control your emotions. Like, don't be too overwhelmed. Like, don't be too be swayed towards one direction. And with this, you will end up having a more sober mediation sessions, and for sure success will be achieved by restoring relationships, and parties will go better than they came. We also have the point of cultural sensitivity. Remember, at this time and age, we have the cross-border mediations that are taking place, and so you must know what cultures you're dealing with as a mediator for you to have success. We have different languages, we have different ethnic, we have different countries. People have different cultures, and everything is very, very diverse. So as a young mediator, please understand the cultures of the parties that you are dealing with. And this can only be achieved if you, as a mediator, you do your practice, you do your due diligence far before you start the mediation, the mediation sessions. You have all the time. Please practice and research on the backgrounds and everything. So when you're coming from a point of knowing who you're dealing with, the mediation will be smooth and success will be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much to our panelists. We now move to questions received from our participants. So, the first question is how to overcome the lack of resources which a woman faces with different challenges and opportunities at the time of rise of women in mediation. Ms. Njeri, if you can answer this.
Thank you very much. Overcoming the challenge of resources. Coming from a Kenyan perspective, first of all, you have to leverage the community networks. And by leveraging community networks, I mean like women mediators often have deep ties to grassroots. Remember, a woman is a woman.
Monica is your biology student.
Yes, sorry, ma'am, you can continue.
It's okay. A woman is a woman. We have a way of going down to the grassroots. We have a way of associating even with the smallest person in the community. So one way of overcoming is leveraging those community networks. And we can do this by maybe mobilizing this relationship. We can access informal support from the community. We can access informal legitimacy, and even material resources. I can go to a stranger and ask for assistance, something that maybe a man from my community cannot do. So one way is of overcoming is leveraging community networks that we as women, we possess. The other thing is the capacity building partnerships. Here in Kenya, we have several NGOs and collaboration can be done with different NGOs in the whatever country you are, in the whatever community you are, and also the international organizations that are present in the country. And the organization can provide training, they can provide mentorship, they can also provide technical tools that are required for women training as far as mediation is concerned. So this partnership, they help women mediators to strengthen their skills and also gain recognition, even when the local funding is quite rare or is scarce. The other thing is advocacy for institutional support. Women mediators can together, or rather can collectively push for the inclusion of country peace committees, national mediation frameworks, and also donor programs, and then institutionalizing the role of women ensures that resources are not on ad hoc based, but they are embedded on the policies and also budgets. And the last one I can say is on innovative resource mobilization. And what do I mean by that? Women are increasingly or day by day using creative approaches, like maybe community saving groups. We have that culture here in Kenya. We have women groups. They come together or maybe even digital fundraising. And with this, they can access different resources, which will not be possible if they did not come together and mobilize for the resources. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Njeri. My second question is, what's the single biggest intervention that could shift the public mindset from litigation first to dialogue first? Ms. Laura, if you can answer this question.
Can you repeat the question?
Ma'am, what is the single biggest intervention that could shift the public mindset from litigation first to dialogue first?
Yes. When we are talking about mediation, we must understand that mediation is just not the is not just the same litigation process, because when we are talking about mediation, we should understand that mediation itself is not, I must be repeated, it's not just knowing the law, yes, and litigation. Sometimes in mediation, we need to be a psychologist, we need to be a social scientist in order to understand what the parties actually need. In litigation, we have lawyers, we have advocates who are trying to achieve their sides, yes, trying to get what is beneficial for their sides. But when we are talking about mediation, mediation is not just about taking the advantage from one side. It's just about having the process which is equal for both sides. Because in mediation, we used to use the term win-win situation. Because mediation is about the dialogue. It's not just about the litigation. It is about a dialogue between two parties, sometimes two people, to understand what they want. In mediation, we not sometimes we are not dealing with just the law, so the litigation process is not so I will not say so important, but so necessary. I must mention that there are cultural disputes, there are family disputes where the litigation, instead of trying to help, can, no, I will not say hard, but can damage them, the simple human relation that can bring to peace. Because sometimes, not sometimes, but I think that mediation, the profession of mediation is created to be, in order to be different from just ordinary litigation process. In mediation, we let both parties to solve the problem themselves. We are not allowed to interpret and trying to bring the conflict in deeper, or trying to take advantage of the conflict. Instead, we are trying to make both sides listen to each other, understand to each other, because mediation is not based on juridical process, litigation. It is based on the on just speaking, yes, understanding the conflict, and sometimes when we apply to ordinary juridical processes, we maybe will make the conflict worse. And that is why mediation process is required in some countries before going to ordinary litigational processes and juridical processes. For example, when we are dealing with family disputes, first of all, in some countries in Europe and in Caucasus, the first stage is when people are going to divorce. The first stage is to apply. It is demanded to and necessary to apply to mediation process. And I must tell you that from my own experience, some cases of divorce, when they enter into mediation process, they stop at the mediation process. And for example, the couple who wants to get divorced stopped this idea and they reunited again and have a very healthy family life. And I must mention here one more important thing. In family disputes, it is important to apply mediation rather than to apply just litigation, because in family we have children, and litigation processes are very harmful for children. And when there are, for example, fathers and mothers apply mediation, they just talk, they just understand each other, and the family is reunited again. And the children don't suffer from these litigational, jurisdictional processes. Yes, that's why I think that in mediation, dialogue is important. And in litigational, we have a bunch of skills demanded in mediation that are more important than in litigation. In litigation, of course, listening is important to professions, but in mediation, it is like necessary demand. And trying to understand that the mediator is not here just for, like for solving the problem for only one side or for the other side. But in litigation, we have this opinion. But mediation is like the opposite side of the process. Mediators try to understand people, try to make them speak with each other, understand each other. And I must be repeated that in my cases, I have noticed that couples usually get united again, and they stop the idea of getting divorced just due to mediation. And the percentage of these processes becoming more and more day by day. So litigation is not, mediation is not just a litigation, it's another profession. And I'm sure in future we will be able to distinguish what is mediation and what is litigation. I think for me, these two even terms are very different. And in future, we will have the results of this action when we will stop putting litigation and jurisdiction into mediation.
Thank you, Ms. Laura. We have a number of excellent questions remaining, but given our time, we will conclude it here. So thank you so much to our speakers for such a thoughtful and diverse perspectives. If today's discussion have made one thing clear, it is this: the question is no longer whether women have a place in mediation. They already do. The real question is how we create meaningful opportunities, ensure professional recognition, support women through every stage of their careers, and build an ADR ecosystem where competence, ethics, and excellence remain the foundation, while inclusion becomes a natural part of the profession. Mediation itself teaches us that meaningful change begins with dialogue, and conversations such as this one are an important part of that dialogue. On behalf of Trek Second, I express our sincere gratitude to Ms. Girija Krishan Varma, who joined us at the opening of this webinar, to Ms. Laura Kyureghyan, Ms. Lydia Njeri Kaboyo, and for their time, knowledge, and generosity. To all our participants, thank you for joining us and for your thoughtful questions. Certificates of participants will be issued as per the webinar's participant requirements. With that, we came to the end of today's webinar on the rise of women mediators, challenges and opportunities. We hope this discussion encourages more women to explore mediation, ADR, research, training, and leadership within the dispute resolution ecosystem. On behalf of Trek Second, I wish you a very pleasant evening. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in our future programs. Good evening, and thank you so much.